Hello, and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about the experiences shaping exceptional lives. And in this episode, I've got Mr. Robb Braun. He's back for a second dose of Bold Leadership Stories. I wanted to bring him back on because he's recently started a new business called Mr. Electric of Murrieta. And just excited to, this is like what, 2 months ago you started?
Yeah, about that. Yeah,
Launched that. It was
about it.
about the time that we did our last episode
Yep.
on the show. And so let me give you a little bit of background on Robb. You were going to say?
No, no, that was just
You're
me
good?
taking a
Okay.
breath.
Let me
Yeah.
give you a little background on Robb. I've known Robb for a long time. He's been a leadership development pro. He's done that for years. He did an incredible job. You may still be working that in that field.
Yep.
That's great. So you're experienced. You're a tenacious speaker, coach, author, leader. You've led and developed over 100,000 participants in personal and professional leadership growth trainings, seminars, and programs throughout the U.S. and overseas. So very well known and very well established in that field. And now you branched off into a business, a local business called Mr. Electric. And I'm excited to learn from you that the genesis of that, the process, how you're feeling right now. You're actually looking pretty good. I figured I'd see you like, but you're not. You got, you're energized. So that's a good sign. But tell us, how's it going? How has it been since the last time we talked?
You know, you and I just spoke briefly, and I made a comment, a challenge a day. That's what I'm experiencing, a challenge a day. And I I've joined a BNI group, and
Okay.
I've finally found a valuable use for that,
Okay.
and super valuable, by the way.
There's
And
like 3 or 4 really good ones here in town.
there are, and the one that I'm in, I honestly, the first time I met the folks, loved the energy. It's right in line for me and what I do,
Okay.
and also how I also believe I can serve. So it's a good fit. So there is a challenge a day, and then today one of my and I read something inspirational. I meditate. I journal every single morning, and what came up this morning was around challenges, and the Zen statement, or the Zen quote, said something like, "Obstacles do not block the path; they are the path." And it's a
Interesting.
reminder, a
Oh, let me say that
reminder.
again. Obstacles.
Those do not block the path or the way. They are the way.
Interesting.
And in many of my teachings, and those that I follow nowadays, it is really understanding that life is strife. It's not meant to be easy. In fact, a great quote by Bruce Lee: "Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a hard life, because it's going to be work." So, so that was a reminder that this is what it is, right? I'm not looking for an easy path, and I wasn't looking for, to get to age 60 and go, all right, let me settle down, and let me quiet down, and let me calm out and all that. No, I decided I'm going to start a business,
Okay.
and
So
it
no
feels
Barca Lounger for you. You invested in
no,
a
no,
Mr.
no,
Electric
no,
franchise.
big time. And it feels as crazy as when I started my other business, the Leadership Source.
Okay. How so?
When
What is it that, how's it feel?
Well, the when I began 20 plus years ago with the other, the first public presentation I had, there were 12 people there.
Hmm.
10 were my friends. One I paid to be there, and the other one actually paid admission.
All right.
And as I was doing that, going, this is crazy. Like it's one of those, and this is the same thing with opening this franchise. There was no, okay, we'll start when I know everything, when I've learned everything, when I'm fully prepared, when I've sorted it all out. And there is no such thing. And if I'm speaking with another franchise owner. He and I went to the same the same class out in Waco, Texas, all the same franchise school and all that.
Right.
And I'm not knocking him, but I know what he's going through. He's waiting for shit to feel good and comfortable before he goes, all right, we're open for business. And now he's looking at June or July. So I did open up about 3 months ago, and it has been, it's been a ride. It really has been. It's been everything that I expected and nothing. So I knew there was going to be huge learning. I didn't know what the learnings were going to be. Have only had my ass handed to me a couple of times. It's not too bad.
Okay.
And it's and what it's also forced me to do is examine all those things that I go into companies and talk about hiring practices, about creating an atmosphere of engagement, about staying in good communications with your people, all that stuff now that I'm really forced to practice and not let my own busyness or my own, they ought to know what I'm thinking, or they ought to know what I meant by that, or I trust they're good if I'm not hearing from them. Can't do any of that stuff. I've heard all that same stuff from business leaders and business owners, why they're not spending more time with their people, and why they're not finding out what the heck's going on. So it's really forced me to put my money where my mouth is and practice all that stuff, which is good because I have a good sense of how I need to show up and what I need to do. And like with anything, human beings are human beings. You and I both know we can't predict them, and they're going to bring stuff that is completely unpredictable, whether it be on the employee side or the customer side, or, even, business colleagues, and obviously I've known and dealt with that for years, but it's becoming more intimate. It's right in my face now.
Yeah, you can't ignore it, and it's you have to deal with it like now.
Yeah,
So
there's
you
no
got to
doubt
be
about it.
in the moment and in the flow, and you don't know everything yet, right? So you're kind of
No.
making these decisions, and they like, I remember in college, one of my professors, he used to say, short-term decisions have long-term consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't know what kind of long-term consequences you're setting up right now with the decisions you're making, but you're out there and you're doing it. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you for that. And this shows up in my journal probably every other day, my making some kind of comment to myself, go, I'm proud of you, Rob. Like, I'm proud of you for going through this and for sticking with it and for doing the hard stuff. And by the way, around that decision making, man, this got drilled into me. Decide something.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill says the best decision, like the number one decision is the best decision. Number two is the worst. Number three is no decision at all. Something like that. So decide, right?
Yeah.
Do something, act on it, and then you can go, oh shit, that wasn't the way to go. We can do that later, but do something. And it gets me closer to learning if it wasn't the right decision to make. I've had to make it
right? You got to,
Oh, you bet.
failing faster is better.
It absolutely is. I've had a couple challenges with my employees on the onset. And, it was, things were, I used to say this to employers all the time. Your people are talking to each other about you, don't you? And so that's what they're doing. They're talking to each other about me, and but they're also making assumptions, which is what people do. And they're, no information, and they create their own story.
Yeah, they want to do a good job. I mean, they're actually
100%. There's
they
no
want to do a good
doubt
job, but sometimes they just don't know. And if you're not helping them, it's like they're just going to make a decision.
Yeah. Well, they're going to make a decision, and it's really less about that because I do empower the heck out of them.
Okay.
And I love it when they come to me and they say, hey, Rob, let me run this past you. Here's what I did today. And whether it was wrong or right or not my preference, they hear, I love that you made some kind of decision. I love it. And it was either that's the way I think I would have gone, or let's take another look at that. Let's look at another thing right there. So I'm good about that. It's really more, I can say all day long, I'm approachable. You can come talk to me about anything. You got questions about something, ask me. But that doesn't mean that's what I'm going to get in response. And I got that one a few weeks ago. And so I got the big, I'm not okay with something on Friday and I had a weekend to go. I got to solve this. I got to solve this. I got to solve this. So by our Monday morning meeting, that's the first thing we addressed. I
Mm-hmm.
let them know, here's what we're doing moving forward. I took it all in and da 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 da. And I go, you on board with it? And there's like, we're in. Like, we're in, we're in, we're in. And I don't know if it was the best route to go. They're happy. Um, we'll see how it goes. But the important thing, though, is not waiting, not, and you said it earlier, not, we have to decide now on things. Now, maybe something warrants, like I had a weekend. I talked with my number one, my wife, and I go, hey, I'm dealing with something, because she's Ms. Reasonable when I can be unreasonable
Mm-hmm.
and perspective. And I reached out to a couple of franchise owners. I reached out to my franchise coach and say, hey, I got this deal, man. I got to solve this thing. And I got input, I got perspectives, and I just took all of that and went, all right, here's where we're going to go. That's a new thing for me, by the way.
Okay.
It's a new thing for me, not with this business, but I would say in these last couple of years, not trying to figure everything out on my own.
Mm.
And man,
Mm-hmm.
it has been life changing, because when we're trying to solve stuff on our own, that's lonely, man.
Yeah.
And it also lacks perspective. It lacks possibility. And I consider myself a fairly good decision maker and a fairly good, here's what action I'm going to take next. And how wonderful it is to reach out and say, hey, I could use your opinion. I could use your perspective. I could use your, call it whatever you want. So
Mm-hmm.
this business, and I remember my wife Linda and I having this conversation. She even said, um, are you okay that they're going to kind of tell you what to do on some things? And I said, yes, I am. I'm almost decision weary, tired sometimes. And so the idea that, I don't have to worry about what color the card is going, my business card is going to be. They're telling me what color it's going to be. I don't have
Yeah.
to figure out the font. They're going to tell me what the font's going to be. Those little things right there are big deals. And for those folks that have been in business for themselves, they know there's 1,000 damn decisions to make every damn day when some things aren't already determined. So the fewer decisions, which we talked about this last time we talked, around, creating protocols and taking decision making out of them, the fewer
Mm-hmm.
the decisions, the better, so that I got room and space and energy for the big decisions, like when my employee came to me with this particular issue. It's a big deal. So I didn't want to be exhausted when I got that.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be in that decision-making fatigue because we're deciding red or yellow or large or small or all that silly shit. What shirt to wear today?
Right. Keep it simple.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a Stephen Jobs thing, by the way.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to work. I was a supplier at Apple, and I was in his circle. I hung around with people that were with him daily.
right on.
So I get to see his, the methods. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely right. He kept things really simple. And there's a lesson there. And looks like you're taking that to heart too. That's really good.
Very much, very much. And you know, I don't know, Jim. For me, it seems like everything I've had to learn has been the hard way, but maybe that's, I
Is there an easy? I don't think there is an
I
easy
don't think
way.
there is. Maybe,
There's no
and
easy
well,
button.
here's the thing. What I will say is I probably put myself through unnecessary suffering. How about
That
that
could
one?
be. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
But the pain's unavoidable. That's going to happen. And that's where, the pain moves us to do something different, make a change, continue to move forward, whatever that is. But it doesn't need to be suffering. So I think I suffered more than I needed to. But the doctor says my heart's still good
mhm.
and nothing's broken down yet. So as long as I minimize the suffering and just see the pain as what it is, it's just life
Well,
bringing
you're
another
taking care.
lesson.
I mean, you're eating right. You got meditation going on. You're
Yep.
relaxing. You're doing the right stuff from what I know.
Yep.
So, yeah,
I'm just trusting the science. Science says do this stuff. I
yeah,
go, okay,
yeah.
I will.
Yeah. Then how about being in the moment? How do you stay like in the flow?
I'll tell you, my morning meditations are huge around that,
Yeah.
and I shared with you before, and in fact, since you and I talked, I'm gonna send a link to you
Okay.
for an app. It's called Heroic, and there's no cost. Like you get to participate in it for no cost and just use that. I've used Brian Johnson's teachings around the and Brian Johnson leans on other people. Like he's a voracious reader, like reads
Hmm.
and brings these lessons. And you know, basically hanging out in the past is regret. Hanging out in the future is just anxiety and fear ridden. Those
Hmm.
are neither one of those are fun places to be.
Right.
So the moment is the best place.
Yep.
Oops, killed that. Yeah, the moment's the best place. And so my morning meditation is, practicing my being in the breath. I know that just sounds so trivial, but it reminds me that my mind can go off in 100 different directions unchecked.
Hmm.
And the breathing and the meditation just reminds me that the power really is in the moment. And I've gotten better and better at it and, learning some techniques around there. And then the same thing when I get a call today and a customer's going, what are you doing? Charge me for this and da 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 da. It's like, and it was just like, what's going on? Like, tell me what's going on. What's your concern? All of that. And we were able to resolve it in minutes. It was no
Mm.
big deal. And he was coming in like this, and I'm just going, what do you got? Right. But that's being in the moment and going, it's not going to make sense to be afraid of where this thing's going to go.
Hmm.
Or y- could we have done something different? I don't know. And it turned out to be not a big deal. He kind of made it a big deal. It was more a misunderstanding. But um, had I gone to any other place, I would have been less effective. I just wouldn't have been because I was afraid of losing something, afraid of something, right? Where this is going to lead to. And
Hmm.
and what ends up coming out of it is like, man, I appreciate that. You've got a customer in us. I was like, great, that's the whole deal right here. And enjoy the rest of your day. So that it's practice, man. It's really practice. And I promise you, I still get scared like everybody else, and I still worry about shit like everybody else does. And
Hmm.
I spend less time in it, and sometimes it'll hang out for a couple of days. It's like, God damn it, man. I know there's no value in this at all. And so what am I not trusting? What am I not having faith in? What do I need to get back to again?
Great
And
questions. Those are
Y-
great questions to
They
ask
are.
yourself.
They are because somewhere along the way, I'm losing trust in something. I'm losing faith in something. I'm not
Hmm.
trusting and I'm not being in the moment.
Hmm.
I'm projecting out there somewhere. So I gotta find out what the heck, like what is it that what am I getting away from that I need to get back to that grounds me? Very real and not some catchphrase that, whatever that is. But then there also is like, and I just love this. So I got this, right? It's my reminder, like no
Yeah.
matter what comes up at me,
Yeah, I got
I
this.
got this. I can handle it. It's not a big deal. It's here to make me stronger. It's here to be dealt with. It's here to, I'm going to be having a conversation with a gentleman in a couple of days, and he's considering purchasing a franchise.
Okay.
He'd like to talk to someone who's in the fray of just getting started.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and these are all these kind of things that I have to offer him, and not candy coat stuff, but to also let him know that's part of the deal, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's no guarantees or promises with anything. You and I
Right.
both know that. We don't know
Yeah.
where stuff's going to go. But doing, doing the work to know where I want to be able to get to, knowing that the moment's where I need to be, and then whatever I need to do to get back to that. So
Beautiful. Well,
I
thank you
hope
for sharing.
I'm
That's
answering that.
yo,
Yeah.
this is beautiful. Yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping to glean here because you're like perfect for this because you're an expert at mindset and motivation and leadership and now you put yourself in the hot seat. And now
No
you got to go,
kidding.
oh shit, I'm actually going to do
No
this.
kidding. That's
And you
true.
admitted to it. So it's like,
So true. Yep.
yes. I
Yep.
love this. It's wonderful. I think there's a lot of nuggets here for people that watch this episode. They're going to really be, I'm taking notes, because it's
Good. I
really good
hope so
stuff.
too. And I hope so. Yeah.
I want to share the screen. I've got your Mr. Electric website up. I want to
Okay.
share that. Have you kind of walk us through it quickly about, you know, what is it that you're offering and why would someone give you a call?
You got it. Now, let me also let you know that we're kind of in a position now where we can update some things right here. So we've used a lot of the corporate stuff,
Okay.
right? Okay. So that's still a lot of that, but it is like we have a Facebook page that we make sure that we're putting special things in there. So the biggest things I think for let folks know is that um, we we don't do any kind of estimates over the phone. Everything we do is in person, and there's a purpose for that. One, it allows us to be able to establish a relationship. We
Hmm.
may win the business, we may not, but we establish a relationship, and that happens automatically. And you and I are doing the next best thing, and that's doing this on video. The best thing would be if we were sat in you kind of pulling a Tom Bilyeu, right, in
Right.
Impact Theory, and inviting me into your living room, and we sit there chair to chair, and we have the conversation.
Those are the best.
They
Absolutely.
are the best. And so we use the next best medium, which is this right here, and then the tough ones that went over the telephone.
Right.
So we really try to do it face to face. And then what we do, and so the offer is we come on out there, we take a look at everything. We do a safety check wherever we go. We test everything out. And then when we get to the home, we go ahead and then put together an estimate right there. And then
Okay.
what happens is, and then what we do is we put the estimate together in a couple of ways. One is exactly what you called us out for. And then when we show up there, we go, hey, have you ever thought about this? And what
Mhm.
about that over there? And then you're going, yeah. And then what we're willing to do is then put together like a second estimate that says, and here's the other things you're looking to do. So we
Okay.
put those together and we go, what would you like to move forward with? And most times they go, well, what I called you for. Great, let's go ahead and do that. But what we've also done is, and then I will tell you, my guys, they are terrific. Adrian and Zach, they couldn't be more different, which is cool. And they're both so damn good at what they do. And the reviews that we're getting in is a big, big deal that and it doesn't matter if it's Adrian or Zach, they're super pleasant, super professional, super knowledgeable. They explain everything. And that's the feedback that we're getting.
Very
So
cool.
so then what happens is we take care of what you needed to come out there for, but now what we've also done is we've helped plant the seed. You've got this other thing you want to do. The weather's starting to warm up. People, they got their wonderful patios installed, and now they're going, God, I wish we would have put fans up when we did that.
Mm.
Or I wish we would have put some more lighting up there because now everybody's starting to come outside and hang out in the backyard and we're doing lighting. Those sort of things. And so those are the things that then, and what we also do is we also offer what's called an advantage plan where we discount the work, but then it covers, and we discount it by a certain percentage, and then we cover it for the full year. So if you call us back within a year, anything else you have us come on out and do, we're going to discount it the same thing. The other offer that's a real big deal to me is offering veterans and military a discount.
Mm. Okay.
So former veteran myself or a veteran, former military. So we make sure to offer that discount as well. And yeah, and what we're hoping that, when we go out there each time, like I said, we don't win all the jobs. And sometimes they go, no, we'll think about it. We go, okay. And so then we just simply do follow-ups with that. But what we have done is we've established a relationship.
Hmm.
And when I was looking at franchises, I really did I wanted to establish a local service franchise
Okay.
and so that we could build relationships. As you know, most of what I did for business and what I've done with the leadership source has been out of town. And I've done things locally, like I've definitely supported local chambers and the local rotaries and, spoken at events and all that, participated locally in things. But most of my business has been in LA and Orange County and other places.
Hmm.
And especially my coaching, my coaching clients are everywhere on the planet. So wanting to be able to create something that I could create locally, establish local relationships, leverage the relationships that I have established, and
Okay.
letting them know, hey, we've got this new business in town,
Hmm.
and that. So I hope I answered the question about the website. The website is a way to be able to get to us.
Sure.
Really, where
Yeah.
the magic is when we get an opportunity to meet folks, and my
Beautiful.
guys
Yeah. Well,
do their
thank you
magic.
for clarifying that. People who I get concerned about this business, they say, well, I have my website up, but they're not doing the relationship building and they're expecting people to just call them out of the blue. And it's like crickets,
Oh,
you
oh
wonder.
yeah, and I actually hear this at networking meetings. Rather than, hey, let's get together, they hand a card going, here, just go to my website.
The kiss of death
It
right there.
really is. Like, chances are I'm not going to keep that business card.
Right.
First of all, well, you know that one. And there's a good possibility I may go to the website, but I see it. But yeah, it
It's
likely is not going to what's going to win my business over. Likely not.
right. Yeah, it's the relationships. Bottom line.
Yeah.
I don't care what they come up with. Back in the day it was, when I was in sales, territory sales, the computer started getting to be, and then the internet came on, and then all this software, and they're thinking, well, salespeople are going to get replaced. Those people, the computers are going to replace
Yeah.
the salespeople, and it's like, no, that's never going to happen. Chat GPT now, this AI stuff's coming out, and
Yep.
and they're and yeah, it'll replace a few people, but by and large, it's still going to be this idea that I do business with you because I know, like, and trust you.
It's still foundational. It
It
is for
is.
doing business.
It's
They
never
don't
going to
care.
go away as long
No.
as we're human to human and we're doing business
No,
together.
if your business is strictly transactional, strictly, yeah, you can get by on the internet, but most is not.
Right.
Most is not. And in order
And
for the transaction to happen, there's really got to be a relationship development going on, and just
sure.
exactly what you said, that know and trust. Yeah.
And having, an electrician, it's like, to me, it's like, well, I've got, in the old days, I had a milkman, I'd have
Oh
somebody that would come
yeah,
by every morning
we
and
did
deliver the
too.
milk and
We
cheese,
did
right?
too.
Or
Yeah.
the newspaper boy, or you'd even get to know the mailman
Yeah.
or mailwoman. It's like you get to know these people that come by your house all the time, and the electricians and the plumbers. Those people. You and those were important people to have in your life because they'd save your bacon from time
Oh,
to time.
you bet.
And
You bet.
so, and having someone like you that has a reputable resource to go to for electrical things is so valuable. It's like, oh, they've kind of forgotten, I think, what it means to have someone who can do that stuff, how much easier they can make your life.
You know what, Jim? I forgot about that because I've gotten used to whether I go through my home warranty or, there's a different company, a different person. I remember when I was in the planning stages of opening this franchise for our
Mhm.
condo, for our tenant, I needed an electrician.
Right.
One, I couldn't find one that would actually to return my calls. And then when I did, and I kid you not, the experience was he showed up. He said, like, what's the problem? And I kind of told him what it was. He didn't talk to me the whole time. He went to go do his thing. Now, I didn't need conversation, but I was like, hey, what are you doing? What are you finding? All this
Right.
sort of stuff. He gets done. He comes to me and says, this is what the problem was, da, 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 da. And then he says, I hope you don't mind. I have to move on to my next appointment. I left you a mess, and walked out the door.
Remind me to
And I,
call you next
and
time.
I went, holy shit, like that. He was really okay with that.
Wow.
But that's what we've gotten used to. What I liken now to what we're wanting to offer and creating those relationship is the one that I have with my auto mechanic.
Okay.
My auto mechanic, like I trust him completely because I
Mhm.
don't know what's going on in my car anymore. Back in the day, I could change things out. I could troubleshoot. I could replace stuff. I can't anymore.
Right.
So I completely rely on him, and I wouldn't go to anybody else. If he's on vacation, I'll wait. Right. So what we want to be able to create is that same thing with our business,
Sure.
that you wouldn't go to anybody else, that you establish that relationship. Because I know for me, and fortunately, and I've done this through BNI primarily, but I now have a relationship with a plumber that I wouldn't call anybody else, period, because I know who they are. I know what their business is about. I
Hmm.
know how professional they are. I know when they come on out, it's, hey, Rob, and it's like, hey, Dan, like we know each other and we want that kind of relationship. And then we
Sure.
know that when we're calling them, hey, we know shit's going to cost sometimes. Happens when I take to my truck to my mechanic. It's like, this is probably going to cost, something's going on. And
Right.
he lets me know, like, Rob, here's what's going on. And this is what's going to cost. And I go, yep, I figured. And then we do it. There's that transaction. But I knew that going in because I'm paying for my professional. I'm paying for his knowledge, his years of experience, and him looking after me when sometimes it's a simple fix. Like, oh man, like all it was this. I found that and you're good to go. And I go, how much? He goes, nah, we're good. Because you've got our business. Like we're in a
Yeah.
relationship.
Because
And
he knows you're going to be back,
for
and that
everything.
you're taking care of him.
For everything. And then when my kids are driving, I'm going to recommend they go down there when they're having car problems. And
Right.
so those kinds of things right there, that's what we're wanting to create.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And
Yeah.
what I get stuck in, it's like, well, I got a electrical problem or some kind of problem with the house. And I'll go to Google now. It's like, okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna Google this and I'm gonna learn how to do it myself. And then you end up, it's like if you're able to do it, then you're like, okay, then I got to go to Lowe's or Home Depot and you got to buy a bunch of tools and then you get into it and it takes you 3 days to figure it out and then you do it wrong and then then you got to go back
I've
to Google
been
again.
there. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been
Just
there.
it just gets to be such a mess. It's and so
Yeah.
and electrical stuff. I mean, I've gotten bit more than I want to admit by
Yeah.
the volts. It's like, oh,
Yeah. Yep.
so you want to be careful with it.
Yep.
And
And
if you do a job and it's not right, you could risk some really serious problems.
absolutely. And that's one of my own learning lessons. I have in the past done some things for myself. Some things came out okay. Other things didn't work. And it was like, I have no idea what I did not do,
Right.
or what I did do. And now I'm having to call someone out to try to undo it. So, you know what? And bless the people that says I can do this myself. Great. You go. You go, you go, you go. And then there are those that go, you know what? I'm pretty good with stuff. And I know for me, there are some things that are magical. Electricity is still magical to me, and I'm
Right.
trained technically, and so it's still so having an expert that really understands that and knows is there. There's peace of mind in that. There's just terrific peace of mind. Water is magical to me. To me, it would make sense that water flows with gravity, but that's not how it works. So, so that's why I'm grateful that I have this plumber that I can trust because I've gotten myself into a couple jams. It's like I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's nice to have and then you picked a franchise. I haven't done much research on franchises in this market, but why did you pick Mr. Electric of Marietta?
that was a process. I really did. I worked with a franchise consultant for probably 4 months, and
Okay.
we did a lot of talking, a lot of looking at, and there were a lot of through our conversation where it was really kind of eliminating until we got down to a few that we really, and what it came down to, there were two things. One, that we would build it to stay strictly local. Like
Mhm.
we've got an area that we don't need to go outside of with the growth and the opportunity here in what we'll just call Temecula Valley
Uh-huh.
is immense. And the other was the support from the franchise. And Mr. Electric is actually a franchise that's under a larger umbrella called Neighborly. And there's some brands out there that, people, I know we have a local glass doctor here. I
Mhm.
know we have Molly Maids. Um, I
Mhm.
think we have Five Star Painting. So these are all franchises that are underneath the Neighborly umbrella.
Ah,
So,
okay.
yeah, and I had no idea. I mean, I knew these franchises, but I had no idea. So part of that the second biggest part of the decision was the support from the franchise. I wanted to make damn sure that, and I mentioned earlier, I have a franchise coach. I'm attached to a franchise coach for the life of this business. And
Okay.
we have a weekly call. We go over numbers, we go over challenges, we go over, the things that are necessary for us to go over to, make next right decisions in helping to grow and build the business. So the support from the very beginning was incredible. And it doesn't just stop with my coach. The support that I get from other franchises. I spoke with many franchise owners before I ever made the decision,
Mhm.
and just got some real good information from them. And so that was it. So those two things right there, the support and the opportunity for growth in this area without having to trek outside of it.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
uh, thank you so much. I didn't want to take up your whole day. I just want to get a quick update here. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Maybe one more question. You got time for one more question?
Absolutely. And Jim, I appreciate that you're giving this time and energy for this. So I really do. I appreciate you immensely. This has been fun for me. It's been a respite for me. How's that?
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm just curious about the results that you've seen so far, and it sounds like you're on track because you put everything in place. What would be the biggest advice you'd give someone who is considering doing what you're doing now?
Okay, so what I would say is um, a couple of things that come up. Don't wait till everything's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just dig in and learn and get the
Get
learning curve out.
going, get going. Be prepared. Learn what you can. Prepare as you can. Um, have support, but get started. And the
Mm-hmm.
other is know that it's going to be work. They can show you numbers, and they can show you, every franchise, and I don't care what kind of franchise they're talking about. They can share with you the track record. Like, here's what every franchise does, those that follow the system. Here's where the average is after the first 12 months. And you go,
Mm-hmm.
great, man, I'm guaranteed to, build a $500,000 business. Yes, if you follow all the steps, and it's gonna be a lot of damn work. It is not going to happen easy. It is going to be a challenge a day, and sometimes three or four. It just is. So knowing that, embracing that, welcoming that, loving that it's all going to be part of building it up to that 500,000, million, 2 million, whatever you're striving for out there. But just knowing, welcoming, embracing, inviting the challenges.
Awesome. So to finish up, what you started with was that it's the challenges that create the path to success.
Yeah. Without them, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Thank you in return, Jim. I appreciate you.
Yeah, likewise. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.